You were born on November 22nd. So someone tells you, you're a Sagittarius. But wait, who decided that? How did the universe look at the exact moment you were born and say, yep, this one's a Sagittarius? And why does someone born just one day earlier potentially get a completely different zodiac sign? Is your zodiac sign written somewhere in the stars? Or did humans simply invent the whole system? Today, let's find out. Let's start with the simplest explanation. Your Western zodiac sign is traditionally determined by where the sun appears to be along the zodiac at the time of your birth. The zodiac is divided into 12 signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Each sign is traditionally assigned to a particular part of the sun's apparent yearly journey across the sky. So when someone says, I'm a Leo, they're essentially saying, when I was born, the sun was in the part of the zodiac associated with Leo. But there's something fascinating here. The sun isn't actually moving around Earth. Earth is moving around the sun. It's our changing viewpoint from Earth that makes the sun appear to move through the zodiac over the course of a year. But why exactly 12? Why not 10 or 20? To understand that, we have to travel back thousands of years. Ancient civilizations watched the night sky carefully. They noticed that the sun, moon, and planets appeared to travel through a particular band of the sky. This region eventually became associated with the zodiac. Ancient Babylonian astronomers played a major role in developing the zodiac system. They divided this celestial path into 12 sections, roughly corresponding to the 12 months of the year. The Greeks later adopted and developed many of these ideas, and eventually, the zodiac system became deeply connected with astrology. So your zodiac sign isn't something modern scientists invented. It comes from a tradition that is thousands of years old. Now imagine you're born at exactly 3 p.m. At that moment, astronomers can calculate where the sun appears against the background stars. If that position falls within the traditional range associated with Leo, you're called a Leo. If it falls within Sagittarius, you're a Sagittarius. And if you're born near the boundary between two signs, things get interesting. Because the exact date ranges aren't universal down to the minute. Different systems and sources can give slightly different boundary times. That's why someone born on a so-called cusp date might see different zodiac signs depending on the system being used. But there's an even bigger problem, and it has been happening for thousands of years. Here's something most people don't know. The stars haven't stayed in exactly the same positions relative to Earth's calendar. Earth slowly wobbles like a spinning top. This movement is called precession, and it takes roughly 26,000 years for Earth's rotational axis to complete one enormous cycle. Because of this wobble, the position of the zodiac relative to the actual constellations slowly changes over thousands of years. That means the constellation behind the sun today isn't always the same constellation that was behind it thousands of years ago. So here's the strange part. You might be told your zodiac sign is Sagittarius because the sun was in Sagittarius when you were born. But if we're talking about the actual astronomical constellation behind the sun, the answer can be different. Wait, does that mean astrology got the signs wrong? Well, not exactly, because astrology and astronomy are using two different frameworks. Astronomy is the scientific study of objects and phenomena in space. Stars, planets, galaxies, black holes, everything physical happening in the universe. Astrology, on the other hand, is a belief system that interprets the positions of celestial objects as having meaning for human personality or events. Modern science does not consider astrology a scientifically demonstrated way to predict personality or future events. But the zodiac itself has an important historical connection to astronomy. The ancient sky watchers created systems for tracking celestial movements, and those systems eventually became part of astrology. So when you say, I'm a Sagittarius, you're participating in a tradition that connects your birth date with a particular section of the zodiac. But science doesn't establish that the position of the sun determines your personality. And here's where things get even more interesting. Your sun sign is only one part of an astrological birth chart. Astrology also considers things like the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and other celestial bodies. The exact time and location of your birth can therefore be used to create what's called a birth chart or natal chart. This is why two people born on the same day can have very different astrological charts. For example, one person might be born at sunrise, while another is born several hours later. The positions of the moon and other planets relative to the horizon and zodiac can be different. Astrologers interpret these differences as meaningful. So, how were you given your zodiac sign? Technically, no one gave it to you. It comes from a traditional system that divides the sun's apparent yearly path into 12 zodiac signs. Your birth date tells you where the sun was positioned within that system. Ancient civilizations created the foundations. Greek and later traditions developed them further. And thousands of years later, we still ask people, what's your sign? But perhaps the most fascinating part isn't whether the stars control who you are, it's that humans have been looking up at the same sky for thousands of years, trying to understand themselves by understanding the universe. And maybe that's why the zodiac has survived for so long. Because before we had satellites, telescopes, or computers, we had nothing but the night sky and our curiosity. This is know-it-all. And now, you know where your zodiac sign came from.